Hi, and welcome to QuadCast. I'm Lewis, and today I'm joined by Isaac, who we're going to learn what his job title is because none of us are really sure. So it's going to be a journey for all of us today. Isaac, thanks so much for being here. I'm very excited to have you on.
Yeah, great to be here.
I'm going to start off by asking you a completely separate question to everybody else that I've asked. What is your personal history with AlphaQuad?
Well, I'm the son of the managing director, Jonathan. So I was born just about the time that AlphaQuad initially started. So over the years, I have been in and out a little bit during my education. And just recently, as of 2022, I actually took on a proper job here, helping the company out. Which
is brilliant. I mean, I met you probably a year after that because I've been here just shy of a year. So that tracks. And it's been amazing to work with you. So it's been really nice. And it's like it's not like a Nepo baby type situation. You're just really good at what you do.
I try.
Yeah. I mentioned we're not really sure what your job title is, and I stand by that because I've got genuinely no idea. And I think just off mic, you offhandedly said, I prefer the term digital marketing handyman, which I think is fabulous. I think that's absolutely fantastic.
It is the most accurate way of describing what I do here. I do a little bit of everything. I help with a little bit of everything. Yeah,
a little bit of an office dog's body, but in the best possible way, which what more could we need? Just perfect.
Exactly.
Offhand, again, this is fantastic. You're the first person that has actually recorded a podcast that I've done one of these with. This is really exciting for me because you know what you're doing. So are you excited about the QuadCast?
Oh, yeah. I think it's a really good opportunity to expand AlphaQuad's reach. I also really quite like the name, so that helps. But yeah, it's a brilliant opportunity.
Yeah, it's something that we've been really excited about. And I think it was vaguely your idea about 6 months ago. And then obviously when you've kind of come and gone from university, it's been a really fun little project that I've got to work on. And we're finally getting around to doing it. So thank you very much for that idea.
No worries.
So something that I've learned a lot about in my time working here are AI generative tools, whether that be ChatGPT or Midjourney or whatever it might be. And it's never ceased to amaze me just your knowledge on the subject of any AI generative tools. So how have you found adapting to these tools, whether you're using it for work with AlphaQuad or whether you're doing it in your personal life or at university possibly, or how have you found it?
I found it really, really useful personally to increase my own productivity. I really think that AI is the next big industrial revolution for much of society, but for digital marketing in particular, it is going to be absolutely revolutionary as it goes on. AI hasn't been around very much at all. It was first started mainly, the revolution, back in November of 2022. That's when I first picked up on it as well, and I kind of made it my mission to learn as much as possible about how AI has been created in the various forms, and in particular about prompt engineering to best use AI to increase your productivity. But I use it in everything I can to help me, from little things, simple questions, to coding. Learning coding is a good example that I've been trying to do recently. It's so helpful in every aspect.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think I've found it as a really reliable tool just for enhancing the little bits that you might not necessarily have the skill set to be able to do. So, for example, one of our clients is very scientific based, and I don't even have a science GCSE. That is not my strong point. I have got no clue. So for that side of it, I think for research purposes, it does really help to be able to write content. And I stand by it. I was a little bit trigger happy with it when I first started, I must admit. But I've kind of eased back on it over time, and now I just kind of use it as I use it as a tool rather than a crutch.
Yes.
Which I think is exactly how it should be used.
Oh, absolutely.
But it is so easy to get so sidetracked with it and to use it as a crutch rather than just for that basic tool. And I'm just wondering, this isn't a question that I briefed you with prior to recording, but have you found in your time using it that you've used it a little bit too much or not enough, or what's the learning process for you been?
I started off using it for absolutely everything and relying on it very, very heavily in very much a crutch way. Especially before I kind of looked into how to best use AI. I'd say after about the first few months of just pure excitement and nerding out over this cool new tool, I kind of developed how to use it better. And since then, it's really become a supportive thing for my personal productivity, and that's exactly how it should be used. I think there's been a lot of fear mongering over AI taking over the world and Skynet coming back and all these things.
Yeah, I've seen Terminator. I know what's coming.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's nowhere near that kind of thing. It's really meant not as a standalone software system or tool, but something to support the human aspect of any job, especially for digital marketing.
Exactly. I think that there's a really fatalistic nature when around conversations surrounding AI, which in part I do understand. I definitely agree with just recently the whole thing with ChatGPT and their voice that sounded exactly like Scarlett Johansson. I do think that that's wrong, but also I don't see that there's anything wrong with language models. That's there to help us. That's the purpose of it. It's how is it any different to using Google Translate? It's these tools that have been purposely designed to fit a purpose that are there to help us. And I think that there is a lot of fear mongering that goes around with it. I completely wholeheartedly agree with you. So, but no, I do also completely agree that it's a very useful tools, and Skynet is not coming back to try and Terminator Salvation us. It's just not going to happen.
No, absolutely not.
So I mentioned previously that you, very briefly, that you're at university, and I just wondered if you wanted to speak a little bit about what you do and how you feel that, given the degree that you study, how you feel that has helped. Now, I'll get a little bit more into that with the next question in a sec, but if you just tell us what you do.
So I'm at Cardiff University studying politics, and that kind of focuses around the theory behind politics, less the practical applications. So I study thinkers from as early back to Plato, all the way up to Machiavelli, to Mill, to Karl Marx, and so on and so on. And I learn a lot about the theories behind politics across the world.
It's really interesting subject. I think politics is something that I've never necessarily had like a very exuberant interest in, but having heard you talk about having you heard about the theory behind everything has made me develop an interest in it, because it's gone, actually, that is really fascinating. So my follow-up question to this is, given the degree you're studying, I'm interested in your thoughts on political campaigns, because while they are very different from what we do here at AlphaQuad, I also feel that digital marketing goes quite hand in hand with PR and that area of marketing. So what are your thoughts on kind of political campaign strategies?
Well, when it comes to the difference between what we do here at AlphaQuad and political marketing and political campaigns, there's the main area of difference I find is with the principles of the campaign rather than the practice of the campaign. You won't see a political campaign get very far without the traditional use of digital marketing strategies like SEO optimization, content development, website design, or PPC in particular. As recently has been shown by the general election that's coming up. I have been inundated with ads on every device I could possibly imagine from all the parties, that just goes to show how useful these traditional strategies still are. But when it comes to the difference in that principle, it goes with the target audience and the message that these political parties are trying to push forward. They're not selling, as say AlphaQuad might help an e-commerce business sell products. They're selling people politics. They're selling messages and missions and hopes and goals and something more intangible. And so their strategies are often quite different to that of what we might traditionally do. But beyond that, there's not a huge amount of difference necessarily in the practice of the campaigns.
I find that's a really succinct way of saying it. I think that there's so far into the general election campaigns, I find that there's been a significant amount of character bashing, which just feels dirty.
Oh, yes.
It just feels wrong, and it should be about policy, not about character. But it's just all. I think that is there's a very stark difference to what we do here at AlphaQuad compared to PR. Yes. But again, it's the same sort of principles regarding SEO and paid advertising and all of these things that will have to be factored in, that their marketing teams will still be doing just as much as we're doing it here for our clients. I just want to go back to our discussion on AI generative tools. And we spoke briefly on the future and how I don't think Arnold Schwarzenegger is coming back from the future to destroy the world. But how do you see AI generative tools being used more intensely in digital marketing in the future? I think that tools like ChatGPT are, even though that's purely still in its infancy, the power that it has still in its infancy is great. So how do you view the future?
Well, I see it just ramping up more and more as AI generating tools, AI tools in general, develop. As I said, ChatGPT, the initial version, was only made as of November 2022, and we can see how far it has come in that short space of time. It's leaps and bounds ahead of anyone else in large language models. But when it comes to the future, I think that the focus is going to start turning towards AI-supported softwares. So you'll see various new softwares used for management, for example, now supported by AI. And you'll see that in many, many areas, and it will become used by absolutely everyone, I think. But not necessarily as a standalone. Again, I want to reiterate that AI is here for supporting human productivity, not necessarily replacing it. And so when it comes to the ramping up of AI use, it's never going to be in a replacive way, but in a supportive way. And I don't see how anyone can turn that down when you see the benefits that it might bring a company or an individual. It's handicapping yourself by not using it, I think. So it will spread and spread until everyone is using it, I think.
Yeah, I agree. It's as I've said before, it's simply, to put it down to the bare basics of what kind of AI tools are. They are tools that have been designed to make our lives easier. It's no different to having a smartphone. It's no different to owning a car. It's there to provide us with a service, and it's good at what it does. But yeah, I agree. These things are the future, and it's as long as they're used appropriately, and as long as the T-1000 isn't coming back for us, then it'll be fine. I need to stop mentioning the Terminator. I might have to go home and watch it tonight.
Let's hope we don't jinx it.
Lastly, Isaac, this has been really wonderful to have you on, and I've just got one more question for you. It's quite a broad subject, and there could be many, many, many answers for this. Are there any marketing campaigns that you can think of that are completely unrelated to AlphaQuad that you've remembered being impressed by? It could be a film campaign, it could be a drinks brand, it could be a gym, it could be anything. What is there anything that really stands out to you?
I'd say I'm reminded of the 1971 Coca-Cola advert, I'd like to buy the world a Coke.
Oh yeah.
I think it's a brilliant mix of music and marketing. Being somewhat musical myself, I really, really love to see the effect well-made music can have on marketing.
Yeah. And
especially since that song is very, very catchy, but it also has the subliminal messaging behind that song. I think everyone's remembered that song in a very fond way because it is just such a nice, catchy, sweet song. And that image of Coke is permanently kind of enshrined in their mind for that reason. So I really like that advertising campaign.
That is a really good one. When I did Sarah's interview with her, her answer to that was the holidays are coming Coke advert.
Oh yeah.
So maybe Coca-Cola is going to be quite unanimous among all of these answers, which is fine. They've just done a really good job over the years, which power to them. Isaac, thank you so much for being here. This has been really amazing to get to sit down with you and have this conversation, and I really appreciate it.
All right, thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much for listening, everyone. We'll see you in the next episode. Bye.